Hello my kings and queens, welcome back to the channel. My name is Val and I'm so happy that you have decided to click on this week's video. Let's tripod you. Zoom. Oh, I have my AirPod in. That's embarrassing. I'm here to inform you how to ace all of your classes this upcoming semester or semesters that we will be online. Whether your school is online or not, these are pretty good tips in general, so if you want to stick around just for that, feel free.
But with that said, I'm not trying to waste anybody's time and we are trying to do this as quick as possible, so
let's begin. I wrote them down. There's 5. Very first one that we are going to be discussing today, the triple rule. Oh wait, before that, let me establish some credibility. So I go to Texas State University. I'm a senior at this point. I'm literally going to graduate next spring. Crazy. And not only that, but I did my spring semester this past 2020 online because of COVID, and then as well I've been taking summer classes since May, completely remote and online. Needless to say, I have a little bit of experience with this whole sort of thing. I've already gone through all the ups and downs, and I'm here to tell you what to do so that you can skip that. And as well, I have a small in with the professors and like what they're doing. All these teachers, they're having to change up their syllabuses and they're having to change up their mannerisms and little things that they do. So I got you. I know these things. Yum, breakfast. Okay, so very first tip. Okay, so the very first tip I have for you today is going to be the triple rule. The triple rule essentially states that things come in threes. And what does that mean exactly for us regarding our studies? It means that we need to receive information in 3 different ways, or at least 3 different times before it completely registers into our brain and we actually kind of learn it and get a thorough understanding of it. So for me, in my first summer mini-mester, I found out about this rule because one of my professors was using 3 different kind of mediums to transport information onto us. We would have our textbook, and then we would have online lecture, and then we would have Zoom lecture going over the top key main points and kind of summarizing everything up and doing like hands-on activities all together as a class on Zoom. So the way that she organized her class was through that kind of triple rule, those 3 exposures to the information, followed up by exam or assignment or test. Now, this is really important, and I want to communicate to you the effectivity that this had, at least for me. I know it may seem a little bit redundant, but every time that you are observing this information through a new medium, it's kind of like tweaking the information a little bit, paraphrasing what originally was said in the book, or what originally was said in lecture, or whatever. And through this, you're almost like puzzle piecing together a big idea. You know, you might have the key main points of the puzzle all together, but the outer corners that are also really important to the whole thing aren't totally done yet. So this is why I think that the triple rule is super duper important, and why I encourage you to try to find 3 different ways, if your teacher or professor already doesn't provide them for you, to absorb the information given to you that you will later test on, or that's just being covered in the class. I already gave 3 examples. It was textbook, online lecture, and then Zoom lecture. However, this could also be online lecture, personal research on Google, and textbook, or open discussion, hands-on assignments, or assigned readings. Anything like that that's exposing you to the information 3 times will ensure that it's in your head and that you are ready to rock it, even though you are not having that in-person connection every single day of class, and instead are online. Moving on to tip number 2. This is so fun. I'm like spinning in a chair. I'm like spinning in a chair. I am spinning in a chair. Scheduling and organization. So in case you've had the blessing to not necessarily go online yet, at this point, classes are structured and organized pretty differently than they would be if it was just a normal day-to-day class. Lots of things are having to be tweaked, they're having to be altered to fit the model of online a little bit better. One of the things that I've noticed several of my professors do, especially towards the end of this mini-mester, is switch tests from multiple choice, like they've been doing multiple choice tests for years, to open, answered, written out essay type tests. And the reason for them doing this is because multiple choice is pretty easy to get away with cheating. It's pretty easy to not necessarily and totally learn the material, but at least with these open-ended questions, you are having to elaborate a little bit more and you're having to type it out yourself. And in this, you're almost learning more. And that's kind of the whole goal of a professor and a teacher in a class, for you to learn. So even if they're not having to ask you multiple choice and making sure that you have memorized all these answers, they're at least making sure that you are having to deliberately type out the information in your own words. And so with that said, expect for tests to look a little bit different. Expect for things to look a little bit different, and try your best and be flexible. By be flexible, I mean find new ways to get it done. In the past, I've organized my classes through, like, I look at the syllabus, I write everything out on a calendar, and then after that, I go and I do weekly checklists, and then sometimes I even have a daily checklist. However, with things being online and everything being a little bit more at your own pace and deadlines not being super duper rigid, like for example, let's say you have an online lecture to watch, but you have to make sure that you do a reading before it. Well, you could do it like 2 days before, you could do it the day it's due, you could do it 5 minutes before it's due, not actually, but like very, very close to that due date. And because all these things are so flexible, you create your own schedule. Now, there's something that's helped me a lot is instead of that calendar thing that I told you about, I tried it, but I just wasn't using it. Like I wasn't referring back to it. So like something that has helped me is I printed out every single thing I have to do. Every single online lecture that I need to do is on here. Every assignment, every exam that I need to make sure is taken care of and tended to is on here. And instead of having like a date assigned with it, I just take advantage of the fact that I can create my own schedule, and every time I sit down to do schoolwork, I'll come over to this, I'll check what's next on my to-do list, and I'll just start checking it off like that. And in this way, I've found that it feels a lot more natural, because once you get in your flow, which flow is just whenever you're the most focused and you're able to continue to do work at your best ability for an elongated period of time, it kind of takes a little bit of laggy brain fog to get there, but once you're there, you're like, oh, you're good, you're super solid. I find that once I get in a flow, I want to continue doing assignments until that kind of like burst of brain power ends. And I can't do that if I'm super duper fixated on certain due dates or times and days that I have to do things by. So instead, approaching it a lot more flexibly like this, I don't even know if that's a word, but it's really been helpful, and I do encourage you, if you're kind of like me and you don't like a ton of rigidity and you like working with your flow, if you like working with your flow, to do something like this. And yes. Okay, before we move on, don't tell me I didn't tell you, because I did. Things are gonna look different and you are going to be prepared. You're gonna be like, I'm flexible, I got this, I'm gonna find a way to get it done. And feel free to use the way that I just told you about. And by the way, with this, you're always still trying to get things done by the due date. Like, don't get me wrong, I still have due dates, and I still kind of, you know, divide my work up into dates in which things have to be done. I'm just a little bit more flexible about exactly when everything is done. Tip number 3, stimulate yourself through your environment. So personally, I am so huge on like letting the place that I'm in influence me and how well I work. I really don't think it's a choice. I think it's just like ingrained into my brain. And I've tried to do schoolwork. I tried the whole spring semester to do schoolwork in this room, in this brand new desk. It's not new, it was in our garage because it used to be in our old house. Anyways, not the point. I tried to do schoolwork in my room and I just hate it. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And what I found is if I go in the kitchen, I can easily start working there. If I go in my sister's room, and almost what I've found with that is like my brain is attached to phone, relaxation, things like that in my room. Plus, nobody's watching me. Nobody's keeping me accountable of doing my work when I'm just in my room. However, if I go in my sister's room and she's there and I have all my school stuff in front of me and I'm on my phone, I'm like, oh, I'm setting a bad example. Like, oh, I'm not doing what I should be doing. Like, why am I in my sister's room trying to do homework? I could just be somewhere else type of thing. Do you know what I mean? There's like a little bit of societal pressure there. Maybe not societal, maybe a little bit more peer, but. And same thing with the kitchen. When I'm in the kitchen, if somebody walks by, like I want them to see me doing my work. I don't want them to see me on my phone. And so with that, essentially, like I allow my environment to stimulate me. I'm putting myself in places where I know I'm gonna do good work. I've also found if you don't just wanna do your house, sometimes I take walks over to my uncle's complex. He lives in an apartment complex and he has a little pool area that has like limited capacity. Don't worry, like not a lot of people there, 6 feet apart, you're all good. And sometimes I'll walk over there with my books and I'll sit down in the morning whenever there's not a lot of people and it's not very loud. I'll just do work in there and it's really effective. Like I feel stimulated by like the wind and the sun and like the comfiness of the chairs. It just feels for me like a good place to work and I feel pressured to do what I walked over there to do, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not gonna walk over there to be on my phone. I can be on my phone here, in my room. You know what I can't do in my room? Study. It just doesn't get in my brain for shit. It's terrible. It's the worst thing ever. And girl, don't even get me started on when I try to take exams in my room. It's terrible. Because I try to take exams outside, and then my parents are like bickering, my sister's talking to me, and I'm like, I'm doing an exam. And then I try to take exams in my room, and I'm literally like, I cannot grasp this sentence. I've read this over and over again like 10 times. Okay, well, yes, ask yourself where you're the most productive, where you feel the most focused, where you feel like you can do your best work. Go there and allow that to stimulate you to work your best. Ooh, side note, something else that really helps me is lighting candles. Back in college, I used to always light candles whenever I would study, and so anytime that I'm here at home and I smell kind of like a sweeter scent, I feel stimulated to work. I do. Okay, next, tip number 4, create boundaries for distractions. So if you are living at home, like me right now, I'm with my parents even though I'm in college, or if you just have a roommate, you're going to want to create some boundaries for distractions as you start off this new school year or even work year or whatever you're doing. Like I was saying, sometimes I'm taking an exam and my parents are bickering, you know? I need to let them know that I need peace and quiet. And so with that being said, I encourage you to speak with your family members, speak with your roommates, speak with your peers, and let them know that you're doing schoolwork if you are doing schoolwork. If you want to create a system for your boundaries, that's a really cool idea. That's what I did in the spring semester. I'm going to show you right here. So essentially, I have 3 of these little cards attached to this string that I DIY'd, and I would just put it on my door handle. The cards essentially just talk about what I'm doing inside of my room and whether it's the appropriate time for a person to come in and interact with me or not. The first one says doing homework, come in, just be respectful. The second one says in class, please don't come in. And the third one says resting, please be quiet, only come in if you have to. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm in school, like if I'm on my grind and it's decently like very, very heavy schoolwork, I will get so tired and like I need time to recover. My brain needs time to nap. I need time to just chill, and so that's why I have this resting one, because I do nap throughout the day, especially on my really, really busy days. So that's why this one is existing. The in-class one, this one refers to any time that I would be doing Zoom calls, anytime that I would be on a Zoom lecture class, or like in a group FaceTime for a group project. Anything that has to do with a meeting that's face-to-face, that's when I would use this in-class one. And then doing homework, of course, this is for whenever you are just doing assignments or anything that is okay for somebody to come in. Self-explanatory, really. And as you can see, I would just attach this little binder clip to the top of it, hang it on my door, and it would just be lovely. You want peace within your household and workspace, trust me, like that's what this is. It's preventing fights, it's preventing little annoyances in your brain, preventing stress. You don't need that. It's already stressful to be doing school on your own remotely. So set your boundaries, avoid that stress, be prepared. Number 5! Okay, so tip number 5 is to have fun. I know it sounds kind of crazy. You're gonna be like, Val, what are you talking about? Like, I do not. Hey, what's up?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking pretty loud.
But can you turn it down just a little bit?
Teens. You're gonna be like,
Val, what are you talking about? How can I have fun in my own house by myself? Like, oh, wait.
you're in your house by yourself. That's like kind of fun. This is a great opportunity for anybody who's ever wondered like what homeschooling is like, or what it would be like to be a stay-at-home mom, work from home, I don't know, all these little things. See them as opportunities. See this time as an opportunity to do something different with yourself. You honestly spend about a quarter of your life working on your education, and it's kind of the same system. It works really, really well, but we're almost at an advantage. This is a time for you to grow your flexibility, for you to grow your endurance, because this is hard. You're going to have to push through, and if you do, that endurance is 100% going to go up. This is an opportunity for you to get stronger, wiser, and ultimately just better. As a student, friend, person, everything is pretty much at a pivotal point of sink or swim. And most of us, we don't even have the choice. We are going to have to swim because that's just how it is. And we can either be upset about it, or we can have fun, have a positive outlook, you know, be happy that we get to leave our beds a little bit later in the morning, be happy that we get to sip our coffee fresh from the coffee pot every single morning, be happy that we can put love into our own food that we put in our mouths every single day, that we can nourish our body, that we have more time to connect with our families, and that we have more time to seek inner peace. We have more time to introspect. A lot of times whenever we're just going through our day-to-day routines, we are so overwhelmed with stimuli, with things left and right, and we can forget to really look inside and allow ourselves to grow our minds into who we want to be. So I know this quarantine and this stay-at-home situation has been prolonged for longer than a lot of us thought it would. But guys, it is a blessing to still be here, to have the opportunity to still do school, to get our education, to not have to completely put our lives on pause. All of these are little blessings in disguise, and like I said, we are ultimately all just going to get stronger out of it. This is our generation's big push, big demand to swim and not sink. So you got this. Have a positive attitude, have fun, surround yourself with healthy people who love you, call a friend for support if you need some, and remember that I am always here if you ever want to talk about absolutely anything. All right. Hopefully that was not that long. That has been my tips for going back to school online or remotely, and not only that, but acing your classes, having success in those classes. Like Queen, Kings, we are all going to slay this upcoming semester. I can feel it, like I know it. And not only that, but I'm manifesting it as we speak, not only for me, but for you as well. So I'm actually just gonna wrap this up exactly how I wrap up my fitness classes, because I feel like that's appropriate. But before I say that, please like and subscribe if you liked this content, and if you want to see more from me, because I would definitely love to see more from you. Comment down below which tip you found the most useful, and if you will use any of these tips this upcoming winter semester, I guess, fall semester. And with that being said, my name has been Val. It has been since I was born. Drink water, fuel your body. I love you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!